The world doesn't punish weakness. It feeds on it. That's the truth no one dares to say out loud, because if they did, you'd wake up. And the moment you wake up, you stop being useful to them. See, you were trained to believe that kindness earns protection. That if you're good, polite, harmless, life will somehow reward you. But what's the real reward? Being ignored, being underestimated, being stepped over by people who pretend they're better than you simply because you let them. Weakness isn't just about the body. It's a mindset, a slow, silent decay of power. It shows up every time you say, "It's okay," when it's not. Every time you hide your anger because you're afraid to lose approval. Every time you smile while swallowing the truth. And here's the dark psychology behind it. The world loves weak people. Because weak people are predictable. They comply. They chase validation. They build empires for others and call it loyalty. But the moment you stop playing that role, everything shifts. People call you cold, arrogant, changed. Because strength threatens comfort. Your confidence exposes their insecurity. Your silence becomes a mirror they can't stand to look into. You think being harmless makes you safe, but in reality, it makes you invisible, and no one fears what they can't see. This isn't about becoming cruel. It's about becoming conscious, about reclaiming the energy you've been bleeding into the world. So before we go deeper, ask yourself one question. If weakness has been your comfort zone, are you ready to destroy it? Because the next step isn't about motivation. It's about confrontation. It's time to meet the version of yourself you've been avoiding. And it starts by understanding the hidden addiction that keeps you powerless, the need to be liked. You know what it feels like, living as the shadow version of yourself. You wake up tired, not from lack of sleep, but from the weight of being unseen. You watch life happen to others, the confident ones, the loud ones, the ones who take what they want, while you keep convincing yourself that your time will come. But deep down, you know it won't. Not like this. Because when you live as your shadow self, you don't make choices. You wait for permission. You second guess every word, every move, every instinct. You measure your worth through someone else's reaction. You smile when you want to scream. You shrink when you should rise. It's not laziness. It's not lack of potential. It's the quiet fear that if you ever revealed your real power, people would leave. So you dim your own light, just enough to be accepted, never enough to be respected. You tell yourself you're being patient, mature, humble. But the truth? You're hiding. And hiding is a slow suicide of the soul. Every day, a piece of you disappears, replaced by the version that fits, the version that doesn't scare anyone. You become polite instead of honest. You become agreeable instead of strong. You become safe instead of alive. And the world keeps rewarding that disguise, because the world doesn't respect your silence. It exploits it. But here's what you need to understand. Weakness isn't who you are. It's what you've learned to be. A collection of unconscious habits built from survival, not truth. And once you see that, once you name it, it loses its power. Because the next step isn't about escaping the shadow. It's about dissecting. About seeing how your mind was wired to stay small and how to break that code. Let's expose the invisible addiction that keeps your shadow self alive. The craving for validation. Society doesn't fix you. It conditions you to stay manageable. That's the lie buried inside almost every system you grew up in. You were never taught to think. You were trained to obey, to color inside the lines, to sit still, to wait your turn. They called it discipline. They called it being a good person. But what it really was programming. From the first day you entered a classroom, your mind was wired for compliance. You learned how to pass tests, not how to question them. How to follow instructions, not how to build your own path. And every time you showed individuality, they told you to tone it down. Every spark of rebellion was labeled as arrogance. Every drop of confidence mistaken for pride. It didn't stop at school. Families did it too. Don't talk back. Be grateful. Stay humble. As if silence is virtue and submission is peace. And the media? It perfected the game. They show you who to admire, what to fear, what to buy. They teach you to crave validation through likes, followers, approval. You mistake attention for worth and obedience for safety. You were never taught power, because powerful people can't be controlled. You were taught comfort, conformity, and quiet desperation, wrapped in the illusion of freedom. That's why you feel torn. Half of you wants to break the system. The other half is afraid to live without it. That inner war, that's the sound of awakening. Because here's the truth. Your weakness was designed. Every limit, every fear, every self-doubt, constructed piece by piece to make you manageable. But if it was designed, it can be redesigned. You can rewrite the code. You can deprogram the version they built and create the one they never wanted you to become. But before you rebuild yourself, you need to confront the parasite that keeps feeding on your need to be accepted. You've seen the system, you've seen the cage, but here's the part most people never face. No one's coming to break you out, because the war isn't out there. It's in here, inside your head, between the voice that craves comfort and the one that demands control. This is where reprogramming begins. Not with affirmations, but confrontation. You have to dissect the lies living in your own mind. The ones whispering, rest, you've done enough. The ones that tell you failure is final. The ones that make you trade long-term strength for short-term peace. This is psychological warfare. You versus every pattern that's kept you small. Every soft excuse disguised as logic. Every gentle surrender that's become routine. You have to hunt your own habits like predators. Track them in silence. Observe how they move, how they manipulate, how they survive inside you. Because every weak decision leaves a scent, and the stronger self follows it until it kills. Don't confuse healing with softness. Real healing is violent. It tears through denial. It breaks attachments. It forces you to rebuild discipline from the ashes of who you were. This is where despair turns into defiance, where the victim becomes the strategist, where emotion stops being chaos and becomes a weapon. You start realizing that every time you choose comfort, you lose control. Every time you delay, you decay. Every easy decision feeds your enemy. So from this point on, choose your side, because this isn't self-improvement anymore. It's self-domination, and the war for your mind has just begun. Now let's reveal the enemy's strongest weapon. The silent addiction that keeps you obedient, your craving for validation. Your emotions are not your compass. They're the storm. One moment they tell you you're unstoppable. The next, they convince you you're worthless. That's why the first law of transformation is simple. Discipline over emotion. Because emotion lies. It's reactive, primitive, addicted to comfort. It's the mind's way of keeping you safe. And safety is just another word for stagnation. Dopamine runs your operating system. Every scroll, every distraction, every burst of instant pleasure, it's your brain's reward loop whispering, stay small, stay still. Avoid pain, avoid effort, avoid growth. But here's the paradox. The more you obey your emotions, the weaker you become. The more you resist them, the stronger your mind evolves. True confidence isn't built in moments of hype. It's built in the moments no one sees. When you act without motivation, when you show up without reward. Discipline is the art of moving anyway. Not because you feel like it, but because your mission demands it. Every rep when you're tired. Every early morning when your body screams no. Every time you stay focused when distraction claws at you. You're carving new neural pathways, rewriting the code of who you are. Discipline is the rebellion against emotion. It's you declaring, I'm not here to feel good. I'm here to become powerful. Because when you act without mood, you silence your program. You prove to yourself that emotion doesn't own you. You own it. And every time you do that, you reclaim a piece of the freedom they trained out of you. Every time you act without mood, you break your program. But discipline means nothing if you're still lying to yourself. The next step is brutal honesty, ruthless self-awareness. Most people don't lack discipline. They lack truth. They build habits on top of denial, wondering why nothing changes, because you can't upgrade a system that's built on lies. This is where the second habit begins, ruthless self-awareness. It's not about self-love. It's about self-exposure, seeing yourself with surgical honesty, no filters, no narratives, no excuses. This is the mirror test. Stand in front of your own reflection, and don't look away when it gets uncomfortable. Ask, who am I when no one's watching? What patterns am I still protecting? What weakness do I defend with logic? You tell yourself you're tired, but maybe you're undisciplined. You say, I'm overthinking, but maybe you're afraid to decide. You claim, I don't have time, but maybe you're wasting it on distractions that numb the truth. Awareness hurts. It burns through denial like acid, but that pain, that sting, is clarity. And clarity is the foundation of power. Because when you finally stop lying to yourself, you stop being manipulable. You stop blaming, stop projecting, stop waiting. You become the observer of your own mind, detached, calculating, awake. Ruthless self-awareness doesn't destroy you, it dismantles you, so you can rebuild without the rock. It replaces ego with precision, emotion with understanding, reaction with control. And once you see who you actually are, you realize change isn't the next step, it's already happening, because awareness is step one, but acceptance, that's step zero. Now that you've faced your truth, it's time to weaponize it. Through emotional control, solitude isn't punishment, it's purification. But most people don't understand that. They mistake isolation for loneliness, as if being alone means being broken. They were taught to fear silence because silence reveals truth, yet in that silence, you start hearing what the noise was hiding, your real thoughts, your real fears, your real desires. It's uncomfortable at first, because when you remove the world's distractions, you're forced to face the echoes inside your own head. That's why most people run back to the crowd. They don't crave company, they crave escape. Controlled isolation is different. It's not withdrawal. It's recalibration. It's you pulling back from the simulation to observe it. It's where clarity sharpens and identity solidifies, because every voice around you is a suggestion. And if you never unplug, you'll start mistaking their opinions for your own. Introverts often misuse solitude. They hide it. They use it as a shield from rejection, not a weapon for transformation. That's emotional isolation, and it weakens you. Control. Isolation strengthens you. It's strategic, intentional. You step away to rebuild your signal. You strip away the noise, every expectation, every external standard, until you can hear the frequency of your own thoughts again. It's not about disappearing. It's about returning sharper, stronger, untouched by the static that once clouded your focus. Because when you master solitude, you stop needing validation, you stop chasing noise, you become self-sustaining, mentally, emotionally, strategically. The world calls it detachment, but you'll know it for what it really is. Dominance over distraction. You don't run from people, you return to rebuild, every time more focused, every time more dangerous, but solitude means nothing without control. The next evolution is mastering emotional regulation, turning your feelings into fuel. You talk too much about what you're going to do. You announce your goals, your plans, your next move, thinking it keeps you accountable, but it doesn't. It kills your momentum. Here's the psychology behind it. Every time you tell someone your plans, your brain releases a hit of dopamine, the same chemical reward you get from actually doing the work. You feel accomplished without ever lifting a finger. Validation. becomes your substitute for progress. That's why silence is power. When you move quietly, your energy doesn't scatter. You stop explaining. You stop performing. You act in shadows, build in private, and let the results make the noise for you. The weak crave recognition. The strong crave precision. The difference? One needs to be seen to believe in themselves. The other already knows who they are. Silent execution isn't about secrecy. It's about control. You conserve energy that others waste on appearances. You become unpredictable, unreadable, untouchable. While others talk about their dreams, you're building foundations. While they chase applause, you're crafting evidence. It's a colder way to live, but colder means cleaner. No noise, no proof, only results. Because silence creates tension. People start wondering. They notice your absence, your discipline, your results, but they can't figure out your process. That mystery becomes magnetic. Understand this. The world doesn't respect words. It respects patterns. It respects the rhythm of someone who keeps showing up, without explanation, without excuses. Let them speculate. Let them talk. You're not here to convince anyone. You're here to construct something too solid to question. The world respects silence you can't predict. Silent execution alone isn't power. It needs presence. Let's talk about how to project dominance without saying a word. Detachment isn't apathy. It's emotional precision. The ability to feel everything, but obey nothing. You've been taught to see emotion as identity. If I feel it, it must be true. But that's the trap. Emotions are signals, not commands. They tell you what's happening inside you, but not what you should do about it. Attachment is what weakens you. It ties your peace to people. Outcomes, approval, when things shift, and they always do. Your sense of control collapses. That's why so many strong minds break under rejection or failure. They built their worth on unstable ground. Emotional detachment flips that script. You still feel everything. Pain, anger, attraction, loss, but you process, you don't drown. You learn to observe your reactions like data points. Why did this trigger me? What belief did that fear just expose? You start dissecting emotion instead of becoming it. That's where clarity is born. Because once emotion stops leading, logic starts landing. Your decisions sharpen. Your presence stabilizes. You stop chasing people. Stop overreacting. Stop negotiating. Your self-worth. Attachment is not coldness. It's control. It's choosing your responses instead of surrendering to impulses. It's mastering the pause between stimulus and action. The moment where weak men react and strong men recalibrate. The detached mind is dangerous because it's free. Free from manipulation. Free from emotion. Traps. Free from the chaos of needing things to go a certain way. Feel everything. Obey nothing. That's not suppression. That's strategy. And the moment you understand it, you become untouchable. Because emotional detachment isn't about closing off your heart. It's about opening your eyes, and that clarity, that calm under fire, is the superpower that separates the reactive from the powerful. Now that you control your emotions, it's time to control perception, to shape how the world reads your presence. Power isn't announced, it's felt. Real dominance doesn't come from shouting, showing off, or forcing respect. It comes from presence, the kind that alters the temperature of a room without a single word. The loudest man in the room is always the weakest. Noise is a disguise for insecurity. Stillness, on the other hand, that's control. Strategic presence is about mastering your projection, your body language, your tone, your rhythm. Every movement either leaks power or communicates it. The way you walk, the way you pause before speaking, the steadiness of your eyes, they all broadcast who leads and who follows. A controlled posture tells people you answer to no one. Measured tone signals authority without aggression. Eye contact, calm, Unbroken, detached, makes others question their own. Confidence, even silence, becomes a weapon, because silence forces others to fill the space you control. This is psychological dominance. You don't have to prove yourself. You just are. Every word becomes deliberate, every gesture calculated. You stop reacting and start orchestrating. You stop trying to impress and start influencing. And it's not arrogance, it's calibration. You're no longer seeking validation. You're establishing signal. When you master your presence, people feel it before they understand it. They respect what they can't predict. They adjust to your energy, not the other way around. The secret? Your energy must match your intent. Confidence. Without chaos, strength without show, power without performance. Because presence isn't about being seen. It's about being felt. It's the embodiment of everything you've built internally. Discipline, awareness, control. Translated into visible form. Presence is confidence made visible. But presence alone isn't enough to lead your life with power. You must master the art of controlled confrontation. Power isn't about doing more. It's about wasting less. Most people lose not because they lack strength, but because they spend it carelessly. They argue with fools, chase attention, fight battles that don't matter. Every emotional outburst, every pointless debate, every need to be understood drains you. This is where strategic maturity begins. Energy economy. Your time, focus, and emotional bandwidth are currencies. Most people are bankrupt. They spend their power reacting, defending, explaining. They confuse motion with progress, but real strength is in restraint, in knowing when to act and when to disappear. Every conversation costs energy. Every connection demands investment. Ask yourself, what are you buying with your attention? Are you building your empire or feeding someone else's drama? Selective energy means not everything deserves your reaction. Not every insult needs correction. Not every opportunity is worth pursuit, because attention is fuel, and where you place it determines what grows. Weak minds chase validation. Powerful minds protect focus. When someone tries to provoke you, silence becomes your armor. When gossip surrounds you, detachment becomes your defense. You stop trying to win arguments, because winning requires participation, and you've outgrown that game. You start realizing every time you explain yourself, you surrender leverage. Every time you defend your worth, you imply it was ever in question. Real confidence doesn't seek witnesses. That's the paradox of power. The less you display it, the more they feel it. You don't prove power, you conserve it. And that conservation becomes your advantage, because when everyone else is drained by distraction, you're calm, charged, calculating, ready to strike when it matters. Now that you've learned to conserve power, the next level is controlled confrontation, learning when and how to strike. Reaction is weakness disguised as urgency. It's the mind saying, I need to respond now, because I don't control the moment. But power doesn't rush. Power pauses. The difference between reacting and responding is distance, the space between impulse and intention. Weak men collapse that space. Strong men expand it. Non-reactivity isn't suppression. It's surveillance. You learn to watch your emotions rise without letting them rule. Someone insults you. Pause. Someone provokes you. Breathe. You don't freeze. You calculate, because every reaction broadcasts insecurity. When they can trigger you, they can control you. And control, once surrendered, is hard to reclaim. The calm man is always the threat. He listens, observes, and measures before striking. His stillness unsettles people because it exposes their chaos. They can't predict him. And what can't be predicted can't be dominated. Start practicing the pause. When anger hits, analyze. When fear spikes, observe, ask, what is this emotion trying to make me do? Who benefits if I obey it? That single question turns raw reaction into conscious response. This isn't detachment from reality, it's command over it. You stop being a puppet pulled by moods and start becoming the one who directs the stage. That's emotional sovereignty. That's the mark of mastery, because when you stop reacting, the world starts revealing itself. People show you their motives. Situations expose their patterns. You gain clarity that only silence can buy. When nothing shakes you, everything obeys you. And once you master non-reactivity, you're ready for the final transformation, becoming the architect of your identity. Anger isn't your enemy, it's your engine, but only if you control it. Unfocused aggression destroys. Controlled aggression builds empires. Most people fear their anger because they've only ever seen it in its wild form, chaotic, reactive, explosive. But aggression isn't. Rage. It's raw energy. And energy is neutral. It becomes destruction or dominance depending on who's steering it. It's when you stop letting anger consume you and start letting it inform you. Every spark of frustration, every ounce of fury, it's data. It's your mind saying, something needs to change. The weak lash out. The powerful redirect. Imagine a warrior standing still, eyes locked, breathing steady. But inside, there's a storm. That's controlled aggression. You don't waste fire. You refine it. You sharpen it into drive, into focus, into relentless forward motion. When you channel anger into discipline, it becomes fuel. When you channel pain into purpose, it becomes prophecy. That's the difference between chaos and creation. Every great transformation is born from aggression, not against others, but against limitation, against the part of you that settles, against the voice that says, it's fine. Controlled aggression turns emotion into execution. It burns through hesitation. It commands momentum, and it terrifies the passive, because it reminds them of the fire they buried. So don't suppress your anger. Sculpt it, use it. Forge it into clarity, endurance, and drive. Because true dominance isn't loud or violent, it's silent intensity. A calm man with fire in his chest, that's dominance. And once that fire is mastered, only one battle remains, the war to become your final. Unshakable identity. Strength isn't a burst of effort. It's a standard you refuse to lower. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they tolerate average. Mediocrity is a slow poison. It doesn't kill your body. It kills your identity. Every time you say, it's fine, when you know it's not, you reinforce the weaker version of yourself. You teach your mind that comfort matters more than character. And that's how self-hate begins, quietly, invisibly, through small betrayals of your own potential. Relentless standards are not about perfection. They're about alignment, acting like the person you claim to be, even when it's inconvenient, even when no one's watching, because discipline is temporary when it's fueled by emotion. But when it's fueled by identity, it becomes permanent. You don't try to meet your standards. You embody them. You breathe them, live them, enforce them. And every compromise feels like contamination. That's what separates the strong from the weak. The strong reject shortcuts. They don't chase validation. They audit every thought, every action, every inch of laziness trying to sneak back in. Because they know, once you start negotiating with weakness, it always wins the deal. High standards turn pain into progress. They strip away excuses. They make your environment uncomfortable because mediocrity can't survive next to excellence. And that's the point. Transformation requires tension. You rise the moment you decide that good enough is an insult, that you'd rather be exhausted from growth than comfortable in decay, that your life is the reflection of what you allow. The weak version of you dies the moment you refuse to negotiate your standards. And when that version dies, what's left isn't perfection, it's power. The kind of power that no one can give you and no one can take away. The old version of you doesn't disappear quietly. It fights for survival. It whispers comfort. It bargains with fatigue. It pleads for one more excuse. But you've heard those lies before, and this time, You answer with silence. Because the war wasn't with the world. It was with the part of you that kept surrendering to it. Every battle, every dark night, every repetition in pain. It wasn't punishment, it was preparation. The destruction was never meant to break you. It was meant to burn away everything that couldn't come. You've killed the version of yourself that waited for permission. You've buried the softness that apologized for existing. And in its place, stands something sharper, quieter, and infinitely stronger. The world doesn't punish weakness, it feeds on it. But now, you've stopped feeding it. You've become the kind of person the world can't predict. Calm, disciplined, unreadable, your silence speaks. Your actions echo. You no longer seek control, you are controlled. This is the rebirth, not a new life, a reclaimed one, a life where your emotions obey you. Your standards define you, and your fire moves through you with precision. You are not chasing progress anymore. You embody it. Every habit you forged was a weapon. Every moment of restraint, a blade. Every ounce of pain, a forge. Now, when you look in the mirror, you don't see who you were. You see who survived becoming themselves. You are no longer improving, you're evolving. And evolution doesn't announce itself. It simply arrives, unstoppable, unshakable, undeniable.